just flip-flop song, singing to that highway song. Got a little naive smile, the kind that drives you out. Nothing like playing with fire, brings boy to life. Be with the fuse you light, you're good, you're dynamite. You made my...
The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
14:20 in the morning, 14 minutes and 20 seconds worth of sports talk to get you through your daily commute. Hot takes, recaps, best bets, and a little humor to get your day going in the right direction. Sit back, grab your coffee, and let's get into it. All right, 14:20 in the morning for this 26th day of September 2023. Today's show, as always, is brought to you by SeatGeek.com and the SeatGeek app. Use promo code 1420POD at SeatGeek.com today and save yourself $20 on your first purchase. You guys know the drill by now. Remember, we are part of the Belly Up Media Network. Go to BellyUpSports.com for all the great articles and other great podcasts, such as the Craft Brewed Sports Podcast. The boys are back at it tonight, Mike and the guys, every Tuesday. I watch it every Tuesday. It's one of my one show I actually watch. It's on the schedule to make sure I catch up with those guys. And thank you very much for making us a part of your day each and every day, whether it be in the podcast form or on YouTube. And thank you very much for everybody who follows us there as well and subscribes and likes and all that jazz. 6 days left in the Major League Baseball season. We got a little bit more clarity in the American League East, or the American League in general, what's going to be happening there. It's a truly remarkable story. The Baltimore Orioles are only 3 games away from winning the 100 games this season. It's unbelievable where they've come from. They'll probably win a couple more games. They'll clinch the division, be first place in the American League East, be first place in the American League in general, and have a home field advantage throughout the playoffs, which is a huge thing considering how well they do play at Camden Yards. But you got to think that this got to be the Cinderella comeback story of the ages. Last year, they finished 3 games out of a wild card spot, so they had a very good run last season as well. The season before, they lost 110 games, and you think you're going to a situation where you won 110, you lost 110 to winning maybe 106 when it's all said, or 103 when it's all said and done, because they've won their last, I think, 3 in a row. If they could probably, or last 2 in a row, it doesn't much matter, but they could win their last 6 games this season very easily with the Washington Nationals and the Boston Red Sox coming to Camden Yards. That place to be rocking, the place to be pumping no matter what. And so you got to think the Baltimore Orioles is the Cinderella story of almost all time, to come back from the depths of despair like they were. The place was empty night after night, but now this week they'll be celebrating once again. We will talk about that in half a second, how many celebrations there seems to be in baseball. You clinch a playoff spot, then you clinch a wild card spot, then you clinch the division, and you get a party like it's 1999 all over and over again. But you think the Camden Yard is going to be a place to be this week. They're going to clinch the division at some point, probably this week against Washington Nationals. So you think the place will be having a good time. Toughest ticket in town, I'm thinking, to get no matter what will be the Baltimore Orioles ticket. And having them clinch out that home field advantage throughout the playoffs is going to be something that Baltimore fans haven't seen for quite some time. The 100 win thing, it's remarkable to think that they haven't done that since before Cal Ripken played baseball. That's a long time ago. Ripken was there in 1981. The last time the Baltimore Orioles won 100 games was 1980, the year that they won the World Series that year, with Jim Palmer winning 25 games or having 25 complete games, whatever it was. And Jim Palmer was a Cy Young winner back then when they did win the World Series. So 100 wins hasn't happened since 1980 in Baltimore. It's a lot of years ago, and to be in the depths of despair like they were not that long ago, to have that franchise where they're heading right now for a long time to come. You remember, they have all those guys under team control for quite some time, so they could be a team to be reckoned with for a long time to come. And if their owner gets off his wallet, you never know what might happen there. They might end up getting a situation where they could add a pitcher here or there, depending what happens in the playoffs and in the World Series. You got to think that they're the favorite. You have the best record in baseball right now, or in the American League, and you got to think they got to be a favorite to come out of that. It's going to be really tough to go, because they didn't add a pitcher here and there like I thought they were going to, like the Houston Astros did at that deadline, going out and getting Justin Verlander. But now they have a situation where they could do a lot of damage in the playoffs, and having that first round off, I'm not sure how much I like that. You like baseball players are creatures of habit, but getting guys some rest, getting 3 days off or whatever it might be to end the season. Then starting probably on Friday or Saturday, the ALCS or ALDS, sorry, will get going. And you got to think that having those few days off, I don't know how much good it does you or how much bad it does you. I should do some research on that and see what happens in the second round of the playoffs, because they're such creatures of habit. They get in a routine and they don't like that routine to be bumped. And taking at bats is fine, but taking at bats in front of large crowds and pitching and playing in front of large crowds, because a lot of these Baltimore Oriole kids haven't had the opportunity. A lot of Baltimore Orioles haven't had the opportunity to play in these big playoff situations. They're going to have no bigger stage than they're going to have coming into the end of the regular season and then into the playoffs. It's going to be interesting to see how that all pans out. They, like I said, they have Boston, they have Washington. They'll win the division. They'll get 105 or 103, 102 wins, and there'll be something that hasn't been done since 1980 in Baltimore. So congratulations to the Baltimore Orioles and Baltimore Oriole fans for sticking through it through thin and thin. And nothing draws a crowd like a crowd. When people say they'll never go to another game again, this franchise in disarray, as soon as teams start winning, the fair weather fans come out, and maybe you just stayed home, so you don't want to watch, because nobody wants to go watch the home team lose very, very often. So congratulations once again to the Baltimore Orioles. The other two teams, the American League East, they're going to have playoff spots wrapped up. The Tampa Bay Rays are wrapped up already. They'll finish second in the division, first in the wild card. But the Toronto Blue Jays, they got 6 games left, 3 with the New York Yankees to start tonight. Kevin Gausman's on the hill. He could wrap up he probably won't get another start after tonight. Gausman will probably end up, if he can strike out 12 or 13 New York Yankees, which is very likely to happen with the way the Bronx Bombers don't hit the baseball. So Gausman could end up with himself with a strikeout title, the title or victory, whatever you want to call it. They have a chance right now to finish in fourth in the or fifth in the wild card. It's going to be a pretty good situation for the Jays, considering how bad they were not that long ago. They took care of business when they had to, winning three against Boston a few weeks back, then 2 in the Bronx, and then 2 last weekend with the Tampa Bay Rays. Now they're in a situation where Tampa, these games might not mean anything come this weekend in Toronto at the Rogers Center, and then they'll fly to Tampa come next week on Monday. Probably fly down to Tampa and get ready for their wild card game on the second on Tuesday, where all the wild card madness gets going. So you have a situation where they're going to play. They're going to see each other a lot. What they will at this point, everybody knows what everybody's got, so it's not, you're not hiding anything by any means, but you can juggle your pitching rotation. You don't need to throw a guy. You don't need to throw a guy here. You can go to your bullpen a little bit easier. You can pitch some minor league guys, because these games probably won't mean anything over the weekend. The Jays will probably need 2, maybe 3 wins to clinch that division, or to clinch that wild card spot, and they should get all 3 of those against a lowly New York Yankees team. And if anybody's seen that the game yesterday, the end of regular season for the regular season home slate for the Yankees, how the Yankee Stadium was absolutely empty on a Monday afternoon. Like, it's no surprise there. The game meant nothing, and there was nobody there, completely empty. It's kind of fitting the way that season ended for the Yankees at home. Empty promises from the GM and the management crew out there in the Bronx, ends up with an empty stadium, and it's no surprise whatsoever that the Bronx Bombers faithful and the Yankee faithful didn't show up for the last game of the regular season. And who can blame them on a dreary Monday with nothing to play for? Save yourself the money and go and watch something else and get ready for hockey season or whatever the people there want to watch. It's too bad for the businesses, because they're the ones that really struggle out there in that area. There's not much going on there in the Bronx during when the Yankees aren't around. But it should be interesting to see how that all plays out. The Seattle Mariners are they're a riddle wrapped in a riddle, or whatever that saying is. They had themselves a chance. They were the hottest team in baseball for a while. Maybe they peaked too soon, but they had themselves a chance to wrap up a wild card spot. They've lost 6 in a row. They haven't been able to do anything. They lost last night to the Houston Astros, and the Astros going out and getting Verlander was smart. He's the hired gun you need. That's the deal that championship teams make at the deadline for starts like that. He went 8 innings, gave up 1 run on 3 hits. He was unbelievable last night for the Houston Astros in Seattle. And now Seattle's got to win. They got to win out. They got to get something going tonight, and they got to get something going tomorrow. Those games this weekend in Texas aren't going to mean a damn thing, because Texas has won 6 in a row. They pretty much locked up at least a wild card spot. I think they get 1 more win, then they'll get the wild card for sure, and then have a battle for maybe a division. But if the Mariners don't get something going tonight, those games will mean nothing over the weekend. And it's kind of sad, because as the baseball fans, we like those dramatic games over the weekend. We might not even have any at all. A week and a half ago, we were talking about having maybe 4 or 5 games that meant a lot, or 4 or 5 series that meant a lot, and now it might come down to nothing if the Mariners don't get something going in the next 24 to 48 hours, because it could be a good night, see you later, good afternoon, good morning, and good night, and it's done for the Seattle Mariners in their season. It just goes to show how you got to play good baseball in June, in July, and you can't just put the pedal to the metal in August, September, and hope to get something done, because they haven't been very good in September at all. And the Seattle Mariners might find themselves on the outside looking in. I expect them to be out. I think that Houston, they're too strong of a team. Imagine if Houston had any kind of a home record, how they would be. They're 39-42 at home at Minute Maid Park. They had an awful season at home. You got to think a team with a world championship aspirations and defending World Series champions would be above 500, well above 500 at home, but they're 47-28 on the road, so that's a good thing. But you got to think if that team can get something going at home, or maybe if they don't want to get a home field advantage, they want to play on the road a little bit during the playoffs and stay away from Minute Maid and the train and the whatever the boxes are out there. I don't care what they're called, the Houston Astros, but it's interesting to see how that's all going to play out. I was hoping for a lot more drama. You got the Minnesota Twins there in. They'll never do any damage. I don't expect to see anything out of them in these playoffs. They're not going to surprise anybody. They're not going to shock anybody. I don't think they're that good. There's going to be a nothing series. It'll end up being nothing. I think whoever wins that other wild card spot with the out of the American League West will take care of the Minnesota Twins in 2 straight games, and that'll be done. Even though Minnesota will be at home, Minnesota's just not that good of a baseball team. I don't expect them to do any damage. They never do. They haven't done anything since 1988 or whatever year it was when they last won their World Series. Or 87. Was it 87? 87 or 89? It doesn't matter. 87 or 90. I don't know. I should do some research. We quit doing research on this show when we first started doing this show. But anyways, it's one of those things where the baseball season's winding down. I'll do the National League tomorrow, what to expect for the last 5 days of the National League season and how that's all going to play out. The Cubs are right there. I think the Cubs are going to get in. The Cincinnati Reds have fallen to the wayside since me and Dave gave them we're hoping for you guys to do something. It's kind of, they get the 14-20 curse, I guess, is how it all works out with them. So it's kind of funny how that always turns out. Anyways, I want to give a tip of the cap, 1420 from 1420 World Headquarters, to 3 guys who are just phenomenal. I think they're surefire Hall of Famers. Really, really great players who deserve the best. You wonder what baseball would be without guys like these 3. Tip of the cap to Terry Francona, Zach Greinke, and Miguel Cabrera, 3 surefire Hall of Fame guys that I think that they're probably playing their last games and managing their last games this season. Cabrera, he announced it before the season started that he was going to retire, so he's had the retirement tour, a la Jeter and David Ortiz and Mariano and all those guys. So Miguel Cabrera is going to be a lot of teary eyes because for Miguel Cabrera at Comerica Park, they're starting their last homestand of the season this week at Comerica in Detroit. Not only is Miguel Cabrera one of the greatest Tigers ever, he's one of the greatest baseball players and one of the greatest hitters ever. Always a good soul, always had a smile on his face, fun-loving kind of a player. Always enjoyed watching him play, and even though he beat the Yankees back in the 97 World Series with the Florida Marlins, one of those things. And then Terry Francona, he hasn't made his retirement official yet. He hasn't come out and said, yeah, he's done. He's not the kind of guy who likes to have the spotlight on himself, but he's kind of alluded to some things. They do have a video tribute planned for tomorrow, Wednesday at Progressive Field, and they're selling tickets for $11 for the 11 years that he has been the manager of the Cleveland Guardians / Indians. And so Terry Francona is probably saying goodbye, and they're giving away to the first 20,000 fans T-shirts that say "Thank you, Tito," in commemoration to Terry Tito Francona, ex-Montreal Expo Terry Francona. He was a fun player to watch back in the day with the Expos. Love those old uniforms. And then last but not least, certainly not least, Zach Greinke. He also hasn't officially announced his retirement. His last start might be tonight against those Detroit Tigers. And he's one of those guys. He's a little eccentric, a little odd, but he's a hell of a pitcher. He used the baseball to his advantage. He didn't throw hard. He threw smart, kind of like a Greg Maddux kind of a deal. And he moved around the big leagues a lot for different teams and different spots here and there. But Zach Greinke's a hell of a player, hell of a pitcher. He signed a 1-year deal this year with the team that drafted him in the first overall or 6th overall first round of the 2001 entry draft, the Kansas City Royals. That's where it all started for him. So he's going back to where it all started, 2002. And it might be all done for Zach Greinke tonight. definitely a Hall of Fame kind of guy. Played with the Dodgers for a while, but Kansas City, Arizona, and on it went for Zach Greinke. But all three guys, definite first ballot Hall of Famers. And so it's a little tip of the cap from 1420 World Headquarters. So yeah, thanks to everybody for listening to the show. Thanks for everybody who's done their subscribe to our YouTube channel, everything else. That's going really well. Really, thanks for all that. Make sure you guys tell people about the show and all that stuff. Make sure you listen to the show me and Dave did last night. Even if you're not a football fan, we have a lot of laughs on the Monday football recaps. We don't get too in depth on it all, but it's a lot of fun anyways. So make sure you tune in on the podcast form. I think it's up on YouTube now. I'm not sure how our producer gets things up there, but they always get things taken care of. But anyways, here's a word from our sponsors at SeatGeek.
The foul baller. If there's a ball that's gone foul, he's gone to get it. Under his watchful gaze, all bevs, binoculars, and ballpark brats are safe. He's the only thing that stands between his section and certain destruction. That's why he only trusts SeatGeek with his tickets. The ticketing app trusted by fans. SeatGeek, so fans can fan.
Once again, to our friends at SeatGeek for sponsoring the show. We can't continue going on without you guys in memory. Promo code 1420pod at SeatGeek.com today. Let's get to Brent's Best Bet, brought to you by BetUS. Brent's Best Bet, where the game begins. BetUS, America's favorite sports book, where the game begins at BetUS. Tonight, the wild card race continue in the American National League. The New York Yankees hit the road, as I said, going to Toronto, going to the Skydome, going to Rogers Center to face the Blue Jays. We're a couple wins away from securing a wild card spot, and they get one of those. They get one of those wins tonight against the Yankees as Kevin Gausman continues his dominance over everybody right now. The guy's been an unbelievable pitcher. Take the Jays tonight. The Mariners try and keep their wild card hopes alive tonight at home versus the Astros, and they send George Kirby out to the mound to see if they can put an end to the team's 4-game losing streak. He won't do it. Take the Astros tonight and add to the Mariners' frustration. Wild card hopes are slowly drifting away out to sea out there in Seattle. And to finish things off, the Arizona Diamondbacks are in Chicago to take on the White Sox. Take the D-backs to win tonight and keep themselves in second in that wild card spot. And teams are going to run out of games. One of those things, how that always works out. Miami's going to be on the outside looking in, I think, and it's going to be the Arizona Diamondbacks and the Chicago Cubs on those last 2 wild card spots. So tonight, take the Toronto Blue Jays, Houston Astros, and Arizona Diamondbacks. $20 will get you $94.86 at BetUS.com. Sign up by using our promo code 1420. BetUS at BetUS.com, America's favorite sports book. But if you're going to play, make sure you play responsibly at BetUS.com, America's favorite sports book, where the game begins. BetUS.com.
I've been to 56 straight home games.
I've tailgated 61 times.
I've been to 31 practices. I've collected 17 autographs.
I've had 27 beers spilled on me. Make that 28.
I've got one sports book.
I've got one sports book. I've got one sports book.
BetUS.com.
All right, thank you very much for BetUS.com for supporting the 1420 podcast as you do each and every day. Make sure you guys, if you can play responsibly. I'm not a big gambler because I actually went 2 for 3 yesterday. That Cincinnati game, I kind of went with my gut instead of my head. One of those things, but it didn't work, right? So, anyways, let's get to birthdays and get everybody out of here and go enjoy the rest of your day. On this day in 1997, Barry Bonds hit his 40th home run of the season in the San Francisco Giants 17-4 win over the San Diego Padres in front of 40,491 people at Candlestick Park in San Francisco. Bonds' 40th came in the 6th inning with 1 on and 1 out off of Padres reliever Todd Aros. Bonds went 1 for 3 with 2 RBIs and 2 walks. It was the second consecutive season and third time overall that Bonds would top the 40-run home run plateau, a mark reached 5 more times in his career that's seen him hit 762 home runs. No matter what you think of Barry Bonds and everything else, and the cream and the lotions and the scandal and the biogenesis, whatever it was, yeah, he was still one of the greatest players ever played the game. He probably would have been a first ballot Hall of Famer. He had how many MVP runs in Pittsburgh before he even got the inflated body per se. But Barry Bonds, one of the all-time greats, hit his 40th home run on this day in 1997. And happy 42nd birthday to Serena Williams, born on this day in 1981 in Saginaw, Michigan. Williams is widely considered the greatest women's tennis player of all time. She won 23 Grand Slam singles titles and another 14 doubles titles with her sister Venus. Williams had a career record of 858 and 156, 73 career titles, and has a career earnings of over $94 million. So happy birthday to tennis legend, just retired recently, to Venus Williams. Happy birthday to her. I'm sure she's going to have a fantastic day wherever she's hanging her hat these days. Happy birthday to Serena Williams. Thank you very much for listening to the show today, everybody. We appreciate it. Making sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And on it goes. And yeah, that's it. That's it for today. Tomorrow I'll do the National League, what to expect last 5 days in the National League, and then we'll go from there. And I got something planned for the Friday show. We'll talk about all the guys who are going to retire in Major League Baseball at the end of this weekend. Some guys you'll never see play again, and some best moments from all those guys. So it should be a lot of fun putting that together for you guys to watch on YouTube and listen to in podcast form. Anyways, you guys have yourselves a great day, and remember, it doesn't matter where you are. It's who you're with. Have a good day, folks. You just listened to the 1420 Sports Bar Podcast. 4 beer with the sports talk and a whole lot more. We are part of the Belly Up Media Network. Let's get into it.